Hey guys, Paul Lynn here. I'm back. Before I sit down at my computer and start walking you through some actual screening, I just wanted to get in front of the camera, say hi to you, and tell you what's coming. Yes, I'm going to be showing you my screen for the remainder of this video, and we're going to be talking through a handful of different stocks. I'm going to show you some stocks that, big name companies and, big stocks that have been around for a while, the ones that everyone kind of thinks about and get all starry-eyed and think, oh yeah, Microsoft, Amazon, well, I bet I could make a lot of money off of those. Tesla's in the news all the time. I bet I can trade Tesla stock and make a lot of money. We're going to be looking at those, and we're also going to be looking at some stocks that I can all but guarantee you've probably never heard of before, and they're a lot less exciting as some of these other big names, and you're going to say, I don't know, I've never heard of this, why would I want to trade this? And as we start walking through the graphs and running some of the numbers, I hope you're going to see very quickly why some of these are much, much better options than your big name stocks. So we're going to go through all the little details. This is going to be a bit of a longer video, but that's okay because it's
And here we are at my desktop going to look at a few stocks and see if we can see something that we like, something that maybe we'd be interested in trading. Now, to start with, just a reminder, this is what our ideal stock looks like, right? It's predictable, it's steady, it goes up and down by a pretty good margin. Here you're looking at from $9 to $10. I mean, that's bigger than a 10% swing. And hour by hour, it's making this swing back and forth every hour. Man, you talk about a wet dream for a stock trader. If this thing existed, I tell you what, we would all be filthy rich. Obviously, this doesn't exist. This isn't reality, but we're looking for something that has all of these properties. And of course, it's trading in high volume, something like 1 million or more shares a day. So that guarantees we can get in and get out just fine. So let's look at some stocks. Let's look at some real stocks and see how these things measure up. For starters, here we've got Tesla. And you look at Tesla. Tesla's trading today right now at $268.26. It's up 3.18% for the day from when it opened. So, that's a stock that's, hey, it's a big company. We hear about them in the news all the time. Obviously, this is one that we should expect good things from, right? So let's check it out. Here we're looking at the daily chart, right? And we already know from where it opened, it's up 3%. For the week, we can see it's down 6.35%. For the month, it's up 3.5%. Over 6 months' time, this thing's up 89.15% from where it was before. So it's almost doubled in value over the last 6 months. And when we look at the chart, you can see that down here, it was at 143, and now it's up here at about 268. So yeah, that makes sense. But, this is a good company, apparently. It's a growth company. It's a company that the investment market feels very good about. And, there's reason to think, even though, over a year, it's actually down 2.8, but over 5 years, this thing's up over 1,000%. So, when you look at it overall, yeah, Tesla looks like a place that if you want to be an investor and save your money and see it mature slowly, responsibly over the next 20 years, I would say Tesla looks pretty good. And that's without digging into the financials and doing all of the due diligence and research that you would want to do before putting your life savings into an investment, obviously. But just looking at the numbers, right off, this thing's got pretty good growth. And yeah, there's every reason in the world to believe that this stock is probably going places in the long term. But what about for us traders? We want something now. We don't want to wait 5 years or all time or even a year to date. We want to wait about 48 hours tops, right? So let's look at this thing. We're looking at 6 months here, and you can see, up and down and then up a little bit, then down, and then it kind of stays in the valley. Then it goes way up here, dips a little bit. I don't see much of a pattern in that. And remember, if we're thinking about our ideal stock, we want an oscillator. We want something going up and down, right? Well, over 6 months' time, I don't see that, but we don't really care about 6 months anyway. For trading, we want to look at 6 months just to make sure that, we're trading kind of somewhere close to the bottom, that we're not trading way up here, buying this thing at 268 when it has the potential to fall all the way down to 154, right? If we see that it's oscillating up in this range, but just a couple of months ago it was way down here, that would certainly give me pause about jumping into this stock. If this is the lowest it's been in 6 months, 142, I would like it to be trading somewhere much closer to that bottom value than be trading way up here almost twice that. Because within the last few months, if it's been significantly lower, the stock market has a memory. And the fact that it's been that much lower recently means any little bit of bad news could potentially send it back that low in a day or two. So that doesn't fill me with confidence. But still, let's look at this during the week and month ranges, which is what we really care about. And let's see what we see. So over a month, okay, the lowest I can find it at is 241. The highest I can find it at is 298. Okay, so from 240 to 290, that's a pretty good swing. That's a high percentage. We like that. The only problem is, you see it's down here low, then it goes up some more, then up some more, then down a little bit, then down a little more. When you're looking at our ideal stock, even over a month, I'm really not seeing much of a pattern. And we're at 268 now, and within a month it's been at 241. That's not real close to the bottom of even a month. So I'm just not seeing anything on a month here that makes this a really desirable trading stock. Let's look at it over the course of a week. And in a week, I really want to see some up and down action, that I can see one or two, peaks and one or two dips, which tells me that maybe this is something that I can ride. But, look what we've got here, It started off around 278, slowly crept up here to 297, and then kind of fell off of a cliff here to 270 and kind of stayed in the valley, right? Does anything about this look predictable or like an oscillator or like something that's going to make you a lot of money? Like, even here, you've got from 256 up to 265, so I mean, yeah, if you rode that little wave right there, that would have been a few bucks right there. That would have been a couple of percent, that would have been a nice swing. But it just doesn't even move like that very often or very predictably. So even though Tesla looks like a great growth stock, and it looks like something definitely worth an investor's serious consideration, for a trader like myself, and yes, there are traders that are making money on this stock, but by my style of trading, I like to stay really safe, and I like to stay in very predictable waters. So no, this is not a stock I would really want to mess with. Boop, closed. Let's look at Apple. Apple's another, darling stock. Every white person that wants to have prestige in the United States needs to have an Apple on pretty much everything that they own, right? You don't get into the country club with a Samsung phone sticking halfway out of your pocket, right? I mean, this is the club to be in. It's a prestige symbol. You're paying extra money, getting less performance, and, well, I won't go on about Apple. I'm not a fan. But let's look at this monster and see what we think about it. Look at all this green on the bottom. All time, it's up 150,000%. Over 5 years, it's tripled its value. Woo! It's up 24% in 1 year. Year to date, since January 1st, this thing's up 48%. 36%. I mean, this thing is green across the board. That tells me this stock is going places. If I were an investor, I'd be all over Apple thinking real hard about it. But as a trader, let's look at 1 month. Now, let's see. I see it down at 185, up here to 193, back down to 189. That's not much of a drop. Back up here to 182. That's not much of a climb. So really, I kind of see a hill here, and I see another hill going on here, and I see some up and down action, but look, like from 190 to 187, you know, what's that, like 1% or something? I'm not interested in 1%, you know, and from, you know, back down, 190 down to 190 and change, 195 down to 192. So there is some up and down action on the month, but the percentage, the variance is so low. Like, look at this whole chart. You know, you're looking at from 186 to 194, and that's just not a very big swing. Looking at it over the course of a week, you know, I see a little bit of up and down. You see what I'm seeing here? But look, 196 down to 194. And then you see this downward trend here. So even if you traded it here, well, if you're waiting for it to go back up, instead you're going to take this long ride down, and it looks like it's still going down. So that downward trend really kind of scares me. And then the peaks and the valleys in here don't have much variance between them. So if you buy here and sell here, you really have to put a whole lot of money into that before it starts to even matter when you cash out. So, yeah, looking at this stock, I'm sorry, Apple, not going to trade you. How about Amazon? I have spent over $190,000 on Amazon in my lifetime. So obviously I am a fan of me some Amazon. And look at this, 5-year growth, it's up 42%. Year to date, 50%. Woo! I mean, investors, you know, pay attention. These numbers right here are really favorable for you. Traders, pay attention. These numbers right here don't look so hot. Not because they're red, but because the highest number I'm seeing here is 4%, and that's pretty weak, right? But let's look for a month. All right. I see some up, down, up, down, up, down. I like that. But what are we talking about here? From 127 up to 131, right? So what is that, like 2 or 3%? And that's if you catch it, you know, all the way down to all the way up. And then, you know, you're looking at it hitting 131, and how long does it take to go back down? This is on the 30th of June. This is on the 6th of June. So it takes a whole week for this thing to go down. Takes a couple of days for it to come back up. And again, you're talking about a 2 or 3% swing. You know, we get into some higher peaks over here, and it would be fun to take this ride from 126 up to 136. Okay, you know, that's a very respectable percentage. The problem is it's only made that trip once in the whole month. And, you know, it would have been great to catch it there, but nothing back here suggested that that was about to happen. There was no way to predict, based on all of this, that that peak was coming. So it's great when you see big jumps like that. And certainly if you're on one of those big jumps, it's a great way to make some money. But if you can't predict when that big jump is going to happen, it's not real useful to us as traders. Looking at it on a weekly basis, okay, down, up, down, stays down for several days and looks like it's kind of flattening out and losing a lot of its up and down. I tell you what, from 131 up to 135, I mean, that's not that's not nothing. That's certainly a good step up. It would have been a decent ride to take, but then it falls all the way down to 128 and stays there. There's just no predictability here, right? That's pretty far from our ideal. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And we've looked at some stocks that are in the news all the time, and they're investors' darlings, right? Those are the ones that, oh, we just love those stocks. Let's look at some stuff that you maybe haven't heard of and probably isn't as big. You notice instead of trading for hundreds of dollars, this stock is only trading at $16.55, right? Looking at the numbers over 5 years and year to date, we've definitely got some investor grade growth here, right? So this thing has doubled its value in the last 6 months. It's up 40% in 1 month. Investors, take note. Marathon Digital might just have something interesting for you. You never know. But looking at this over the month, for a trader, we're way down here at 1171, and it's kind of steadily gone up and up and up. There is some oscillation in there, so we go from 1395 up to 1550. That's a pretty healthy little jump. I wouldn't have minded taking that ride. Then it comes back down to 14, which if I, was looking at it here at 13 and it comes down to 1463, I'm probably not going to think it's time to buy yet, right? And then it goes back up. Well, that's another good jump, So it would have been great to buy it at 14 and get out at 16. That's a hell of a good ride. And then it only comes back down to 15 before it goes back up again. Well, there's nothing wrong with a stock that goes up and up and up. I like that. And that sounds like a pretty good ride to take. It almost makes you think you could buy in anywhere, and it's just going to keep going up, right? If you bought in here, it goes up. You buy in here, it goes up. You buy in here, it goes up. You see that all the way up. But, then what happens if you buy in here? Well, it goes down, and now it's hard to tell what it's going to do next, right? There's not really a pattern here. And the thing is, if it's up at 1721 right now, just a few days back, about a month back, this thing was down in $12 territory. Now, how would you feel if some bad news came out and your $17 investment got reduced to a $12 investment? So you lost, 30-something% of your value. And if it's been down this low within this month, that means it could very, very easily go back to that number in a day or two, right? So I don't see a pattern here. Now, in the past, Marathon has been very good to me. I've traded Marathon several times because in the past it had a really nice oscillation to it. But right now, it's just not behaving like that anymore. So, looking at this from 6 months, back here, you see there was some pretty good up and down. I was having a lot of fun with Marathon in these days. But you look at where it's at now, and it's doing some different things. Once Bitcoin basically exploded, this company's very closely tied to Bitcoin. So it exploded with Bitcoin, and now it's going to probably take a little time before it reestablishes this old familiar pattern that was going on here. So I'm keeping my eye on this because I think in the future, this is going to be a tradable stock again. But for right now, just not as predictable as I would like. let's look at this. I won't even try to pronounce that because I don't know how to. But this stock only trades at $4.40 right now. And any little swing, look at that. If you can pick this up at $3.96 and cash out for $5.52, that's pretty tempting, right? Now, look at this in terms of investment, right? In 5 years' time, this is down 38%. In 1 year's time, or year to date, in even 6 months, this thing's up 40% and more. So if I were an investor, this 5-year growth, man, that would terrify me. That would send me the other way. But when you look at the short-term growth, I don't know. Maybe it's worth keeping an eye on it, reading the news and doing some research and seeing what you think's going to happen. But if I were an investor, by and large, I don't think I would jump on this one. That 5 years thing right there, oh, that scares me a lot. And even 1 month down 10%. But as a trader, here's something that's really attractive to me. Over the day, week, and month, look at those percentages. 256, 10%, 1075. I don't care if those numbers are red or green. I just like the fact that they're 10%. That's a big magnitude. That's a lot of shift going on in there, right? Over the month, you see, let me look at this on the month. There we go. I don't see much of a pattern. But what about over a week? Look at this. The lowest I can find this at is $3.96. So if I'm going to buy into this stock, I know that it can easily fall down as low as $3.96. Over the course of a month, $3.96 seems to be the low. So I would not worry about this stock if I were just trading this for a day or two. I would not worry about this going much lower than $3.96. Obviously, if you look at it in a longer term, you can find it all the way down at like $2. But within the last month, I feel pretty safe setting a bottom at $3.96. I really don't think it's going to go much lower than that. And it's at $4.40 now, and this thing within the month has been up as high as $5.53. Buying in at $4 and cashing out at $5.57, oh baby, that's a lot of money. I like that right there. So this is one I'd be tempted to mess with. But since it's been down as low as $3.96 in the last week, you would not catch me buying in at $4.41. So if I were going to trade this, you see how it likes to hang out down around 407, 404, and it kind of goes up, goes down around there. If I were going to play with this stock, I would look to buy this somewhere around below $4.20. If I got into this below $4.20, I can rest assured that it's not going to fall below about $3.96. But buying into this at $4.20 and selling it where it's at now at $4.40, that is a healthy pop. That is a really sexy percentage right there. That's a lot of gain. So this is a stock that, if right now, and if you're watching this video a couple of years or several months after I made it, don't come running to this stock and say, oh my God, I'm going to jump onto that. Stocks' behavior and value change over time. So if you're looking at this right now, okay, then yes, that might be a good one to get into and take it for a couple of rides. But if you're watching this much after the fact, you need to research it and analyze it fresh and make up your own mind. But personally, right now, this is a stock worth trading. And this is one that I've got some oscillation. I see kind of a pad where it likes to go down to. I see a floor where it could possibly fall down to. And we're trading pretty close to that floor. So I would consider buying this at $4.20 or, somewhere under $4.20, preferably like $4.10 or $4.05. I would consider that a very safe trade. So That stock symbol is GOL, and that's on the New York Stock Exchange. Yeah, that's one that I would definitely want to take a look at. And the last one that we're going to look at today is Cano Health. This one is only trading at $1.37. All right. So it doesn't matter how much the price is. What we really care about is how much it swings. What are the percentages, right? Well, if I'm an investor, look at this thing over the last year and 5 years and all time. I mean, if you're investing in Cano Health, it's some mad speculation, right? Because it's so low, it can only go up. And if they do anything right, well, at 137, just imagine, if that goes up to $10, you're making a whole lot of money, right? So if you are a highly speculative investor, then yes, Cano certainly has something to offer. But if I were a more traditional conservative investor, I would run screaming from good old Cano Health. As a trader, I'm seeing 2.6%, 3.8%, 1.8%, and none of those percentages are particularly interesting to me. But all the same, let's look at this thing over the month. And you see it likes to kind of come down as low as about 117, 120. And look, here it is up at 149. Whoa. If you buy this at 117 and sell it at 142, you just made a fat wad of cash. And then if you bought this thing at 120 and you got off of it at 149, whoa, you just made a fat wad of cash. And if you bought this at 137 and you sold it at 159, hey, that's another fat wad of cash. So that's 1, 2, 3 oscillations in the last month, and all of them are for pretty big jumps. So yeah, that's pretty attractive to me. Let's look at this thing over the week. We've got some ups and downs over the week. Let's see, 137 up to 147. That's pretty respectable, right? And then we've got 141 up to 150. Again, that's actually a pretty nice jump. That's a good percentage right there. 145 up to 152. I mean, yeah, that's not a whole crazy lot, but that is a very respectable trade if you got in at 145 and out at 152. So, there's a little bit that I'm seeing that I'm liking about this stock. Looking at it over the month, I definitely think it would be worthwhile to set an alert for this stock. I see it goes down to 120 once in a while. It's at 137 now. Over 6 months, the lowest I can see this thing at is 87 cents. So, I have to kind of keep that in mind, that this thing could theoretically fall down to 87 cents. But if I got in at 120, it's been down to 87 cents, but you see it doesn't really stay there very long, even if it does fall that low. So I'm not too terribly scared about that. If it went down to 87 cents and stayed there for a month, okay, that would give me nightmares if I bought that and I was holding that overnight. I'd be terrified, right? But 137, I mean, there's still the possibility this thing could swing up to 150, 158 or something, and, that would be real healthy. But personally, this is one I would set my alert at about, I would say 125 to 130. And I would look for it to be down in that territory. And once I saw it in that territory, that's when I'd start watching it and seeing how low it's going to go and trying to buy in at some point under that. Because buying into this below, heaven forbid, like around 125 or something, there's every reason to expect that within the next few days, you're going to be able to cash out of this and make 10% or more. So Cano, ooh, that's a tempting target right now. And that's CANO on the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, okay, that's it. Hopefully, at this point, you've got a head full of this and you're thinking, oh, okay, I got it. And you're running out and checking some of these stocks and thinking, yeah, I'm going to start working with some of these, or I'm going to find some similar to those. If this video just came out, chances are the stocks that I showed you are probably prime for trading right now. Go for it. And if you saw something in this video that you said, yeah, that looks like a money machine, and you want to get on it, go for it. If you're watching this video a while after release, and this didn't just come out, today or something like that, it was, a few months ago, or heaven forbid, a few years ago, then don't just assume that the stocks I showed you in this video are still behaving the way that they were a month ago, or 6 months ago, or 2 years ago, because that's not the way the stock market works, okay? Things change over time, patterns break down, behaviors shift, all right? So take the information in here. Do not take it as stock tips. Do take it as a guide to how to find your own stocks to get out there and trade based on your own analysis, not mine. I'm showing you how to do the analysis. I'm showing you how to recognize those money-making stocks. It is up to you to decide what's worth risking your money on and what's going to be profitable for you, okay? So that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, subscribe, because I'm still making these videos and they're all going to be out there putting money in your pocket, all right? I'm filling your head full of stuff that's going to help make you richer, okay? So don't miss out on this. I'm making money in the stock market and I'm having an easy time doing it. There's absolutely no good reason in the world that you can't do the same. Hey, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon.